A beacon.
We're sending a message.
A message to where?
Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be my new Eternals video, all about the connection to the Shang-Chi post-credit scene, the 10 rings, the Celestials, and the rings that Phastos creates to form the Unimind. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. We're going to get a brand new Spider-Man No Way Home trailer next week. There's a whole bunch of stuff coming up. Quick spoiler warning for the Eternals movie and for the Shang-Chi movie if you have not seen either of those films, because we have to talk about the post-credit scenes for both of those movies as well as the entire plot of the Eternals film. But since the Eternals movie has been released, a lot of you have been asking me if there was a connection between the celestial rings that Phastos creates to form the Unimind and the 10 rings from the Shang-Chi movie, because they look kind of similar and the energy that they give off looks almost the same. They aren't exactly the same, but they do seem very similar. During the Shang-Chi post-credit scene, Wong and Hulk reveal that their research has told them that the 10 rings are ancient, way beyond 1,000 years, so they were created long before the Mandarin ever found them on planet Earth.
How long did your dad have them before he gave them to you?
About 1,000 years?
Their thermoluminescence indicates they're older than that, by a lot.
They aren't listed as artifacts or relics in the library of Kamar-Taj, and relics, as they explained during the Doctor Strange movie, are just items that contain magic that's too powerful for them to wield without binding it to items. They've only begun to explore the power of the 10 rings, but you kind of learn through the course of the film that the Mandarin was never using them to their full ability. Like when Shang-Chi goes full Dragon Ball on the Dweller in Darkness, that's meant to be a taste of their full power, but the idea that he'll learn to use them even better by the time we get to Shang-Chi 2, the sequel movie. So he's just barely beginning to tap their potential. So they channel crazy cosmic energy, they date to before the time of Agamotto because there are no records of them in Kamar-Taj, and Agamotto was the first Sorcerer Supreme. And on top of that, they don't resemble any alien technology in the main MCU universe, as Captain Marvel says.
They're not vibranium. Chitauri?
Not like any alien tech I've seen.
Basically what she's saying is that the 10 rings are not from the main MCU universe. They've been transmitting a beacon since Shang-Chi used them to kill the Dweller in Darkness, even though they don't say that literally. It's implied that the beacon in them only started transmitting recently when he started using them. It wouldn't have been transmitting for the last 1,000 years while the Mandarin was using them. And during the movie, when they go to the Ta Lo alternate dimension, his mother's sister, his aunt, played by Michelle Yeoh, tells him the backstory of her people from this alternate dimension and how the Dweller in Darkness eradicated their race until the Great Protector Dragon intervened to defeat it and its Soul Eaters. In the way she talks about it, this was an ancient cosmic war that took place over a very long period of time, and it was all happening inside this alternate dimension of Ta Lo. And their village inside this Ta Lo dimension was constructed around one of the gateways between their universe and the main MCU universe. If it wasn't clear, that's why the Great Protector Dragon trapped the Dweller in Darkness in that specific mountain range, because it was about to pass through the gateway into the main MCU universe and pull a Dormammu. Just go through the process of slowly taking over the multiverse one dimension at a time. Dormammu had a different way of doing it, like he absorbed other dimensions into his dark dimension, but it's the same basic premise, taking over the multiverse one universe at a time. And all their people in the village, even though they've been living here for many, many generations, are all very familiar with the 10 rings themselves, as if it's all just old hat, like, oh yeah, the 10 rings, we know all about that. In Marvel Comics, the people who created the 10 rings were the McLuhans, the race of beings, the space dragons that Fin Fang Foom comes from, but during the movie, their version of MCU Fin Fang Foom is basically the Great Protector Dragon. So I think, one, they're trying to tell us that the dragon represents the MCU race of McLuhans, and their race are the ones that created the 10 rings. And here's where I think the rings themselves connect with the Eternals' celestial rings that Phastos creates. Early theory, I think that the Great Protector Dragon is really just a celestial from another dimension, from this Ta Lo dimension. Yes, he looks like a dragon. He doesn't look like Arishem the Judge or the other main celestials like Tiamat, Eson the Searcher, but Ego the Living Planet is the best example that all celestials do not have to look exactly the same. They can take different forms, and we're just talking about celestials from the main Marvel universe, and if the Great Protector Dragon is a celestial from another universe, then it's much easier to explain why it looks so different. There's also another Easter egg sort of backing up my theory here. So if you watch the Chinese language dub of the Shang-Chi movie, during that, they actually call the Great Protector Dragon something different. Its real name is actually the Dragon God. Like it's meant to be a full-on god-level being worshipped by Shang-Chi's mother's people in their dimension. I don't know why they didn't want to call it the Dragon God in the English language version of the movie. Maybe they didn't want to upset religious groups or something like that. But during the Eternals movie, the Eternals talk about the Celestials, Arishem the Judge, as if they're actual gods. The way they talk about it during the movie, they say they feel like they've been abandoned by their god when they pick up in present day because it's been so long since Arishem the Judge has contacted them. The real reason why he didn't do that was because they were just waiting for Tiamat to fully absorb enough cosmic energy to hatch. And it just took thousands of years for Earth's population to reach a point to where that could happen. So that's why I think the 10 rings were created by the Celestials from the Talo dimension. And that's why they're so ancient that Kamar-Taj has no records of them, but they look kind of similar, and the energy they give off when Shang-Chi uses them is only just a little bit different than the brighter yellow cosmic energy of the Unimind when they're all channeling it into Cersei. And taking it a step further, what does this all mean? What are they trying to imply? What are they setting up in the background? A couple of years ago, before they'd revealed the Marvel Phase 4 movie slate, James Gunn and Kevin Feige said the future of the MCU was going in a super cosmic direction. And right after the Eternals movie came out, I did this big video about what the writers were setting up for the sequel movie. The writers teased that they were setting up this huge cosmic war involving the Celestials. So during the Shang-Chi post-credit scene, when they talk about this signal that the 10 rings are broadcasting, where is it broadcasting to? These ancient rings that are supposed to be from another dimension. They're probably broadcasting that signal to the Celestials of the Talo dimension or other celestial-like beings, and we'll just learn more about those beings and the truth of the 10 rings in Shang-Chi 2, the sequel movie, and what's going on with the other dragon gods from this other dimension. The way that Michelle Yeoh's character talked about this ancient war with the Dweller in Darkness, she made it seem like the Great Protector Dragon was the only celestial-level being that intervened on their behalf, but she didn't confirm that it was the only celestial in their dimension.
Is he wearing the rings?
He hasn't taken them off since she died. What do they have to do with all this?
So just more evidence, more background Easter eggs in the way they're adapting this that make it seem like these dragon-level celestial beings from this other Talo dimension are the ones who created the 10 rings. And if we're talking about the future of the Marvel Cosmic Universe, I think eventually they'll spin this story that they're teasing into a much larger cosmic war between different groups of Celestials, which is a huge part of the history of the Marvel Cosmic Universe in the comics. The funny thing about the Eternals movie is a lot of the twists in revealing how Arishem the Judge lies about a lot of their history in the history of the universe. Arishem says that he actually predates the universe, he predates the Infinity Stones, or the singularities that eventually would form the Infinity Stones. But he also says that he created the first sun that led to the creation of the first galaxy, and then so on and so forth until the other Celestials were born from the cosmic seeds that he planted in different worlds. The real story is that Arishem the Judge was created by Eternity, so yes, he may have been the first Celestial, but he had to be created by someone else, and that someone was Eternity, the living embodiment of the universe and the multiverse. Eventually, we learn about these dark Celestials in the comics that predated the current Celestials. They call them the Aspirants. There was a giant cosmic war between them, so I think that they're trying to slowly adapt a version of this in the movies. But it'll be very different, and I think that they're trying to tease this war taking place across different dimensions, like different groups of Celestials going to war with each other eventually. They mention the concept of eternity several times during the Eternals movie, but they never talk about it as if it's an actual character, so it just remains to be seen how they're going to pay that off in future Marvel movies.
Eternity.
I just did a Galactus video because the Eternals writers were talking about using Galactus in future Eternals movies. He's not a Celestial, but he's something on the level of Celestials, like he is a cosmic threat to the Celestials. There are other things out there that are capable of killing Celestials as well, like the Horde is a race of beings that feed on the cosmic energy that the Celestials are made of. So a lot of people ask, how do you go bigger than Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War? Well, you take it to this celestial level, big, giant cosmic war between different dimensions. Really starting to spin up into Secret Wars territory. We'll get more Easter eggs for this setting it up in the sequel movies, but I don't think we'll actually see them really pay it off till like Avengers 6, Avengers 7, some future Avengers movie. But hopefully that explains how the 10 rings are similar to Phastos' celestial rings, but not exactly the same thing. Still cosmic energy, still created by celestial-level beings, just from different dimensions, with them sort of changing the McLuhans in the comics to being these dragon god celestials from another dimension. If you have any other questions about what's going on with the Eternals movie, the Celestials, or the Shang-Chi movie and the 10 rings, just write it below in the comments and I'll add it to my future bonus videos. My next big Spider-Man No Way Home trailer will post just as soon as they drop it online. Make sure you have alerts enabled for my channel so you don't miss that. Everyone click here for that full Marvel Moon Knight trailer video and Easter eggs, and click here for the new She-Hulk trailer video and Easter eggs. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.